Welcome back to the Scare Stiff Podcast. This is your host, Mike, and this is my co-host, Jason Voorhees. How are you doing today, good sir? Jesus Christ. All right, so today, this is actually not a full episode. This is going to be an outtake, technically.
Yeah, we'll be putting it up with the other episodes, though, because it's going to be like a small, shorter episode.
Yeah, so we decided that for the month of August, we're going to be covering the Friday the 13th movies, because I guess, it's the end of the summer camp season and all that stuff, and we're going to cover the Friday the 13th movies, and we were just going to do those are my choices. I won't continue on past that, but we were just going to do whatever two we picked, but we decided that for the outtake episodes, we're just going to cover the ones that are in between.
Yeah.
But we're going to cover them on a less in-depth basis, just because we deliberately didn't pick these ones, but we still want to cover them.
Yeah, to be fair, it's because we're both fucking stupid. And we all said,
yes.
Oh, we're going to watch these anyways. And it's like, well, if you're going to watch it anyways and I'm going to watch it anyways, we might as well just talk about it. Like, it's going to be fast. So today's film is obviously the first Friday the 13th we're talking about. So,
yes.
You want to go over the brief plot or premise of the Friday movie?
So basically the idea is that in 1958, I believe, two counselors are slaughtered, and the Camp Crystal Lake stays closed up until 1980, and someone's trying to open it after that incident, and no one wants it to open, and people start to go missing as the film goes on, and they're all trying to figure out, is Jason back? Is it somebody else?
Big old murder mystery.
Yes.
So, my recent watch is pretty much in line with all of my other times I've seen the film. Yours is a little bit different.
Yeah. So I watched this on Halloween last year in my new house, and I had a really good time with it that time. After watching it this time, not so much. I did not have a very good time with this movie. I didn't hate it or anything, but it definitely fell down for me a lot.
Yeah.
Hard for me.
I mean, when I first watched it, I was really young, and I was just excited to see a movie called Friday the 13th, because I'd always wanted to see them. I was one of those dumb kids that went dressed as Jason, even though they'd never seen the movies before. But I was like, okay, cool. I went to Walmart. I bought all the Friday movies for like $5 on DVD. Watched them all. I watched this one. I'm like, okay, I know this doesn't have Jason. I've already known that beforehand, but it's cool to see where it starts, and it's pretty interesting. I had fun. And then ever since I've seen it that one time, it's always kind of just either dropped or just been consistently not unenjoyable, but like
disinteresting.
Yeah, it always falls flat compared to what it should be. When they made the movie, it's supposed to be, we're ripping off Halloween, we're trying to make some money. And they did that, and they made a lot of money, and they kept making movies.
They even used the same camera and film stock. So
this is why I always say, this is why I like the Friday franchise, because I don't like the first one that much. Nightmare, the first one's a masterpiece. Halloween, the first one's a masterpiece. Even Hellraiser, the first one's a fucking masterpiece.
Yep.
Texas Chainsaw, first one's a fucking masterpiece. Friday, the first one definitely was made. So then that happens, and then the films go on, and the movies get better, or they have a difference in quality, but they're always more enjoyable. Almost half of the films after this are just either better movies or more enjoyable movies than the first Friday the 13th. You can't say that for any other horror slasher franchise.
No, I think pretty much it's interesting. It's the only one, especially of the big three, the only one where the first film is not great.
Yeah, 100%.
Like you said, Halloween's great, Nightmare's great. You understand why those became franchises, but I'm almost surprised that Friday is a franchise after this one.
Yeah,
it does really feel like. I think the thing that gives this movie an actual identity is the score, because otherwise it's just another 80s slasher movie at that point, which is kind of funny because it is really what launched the huge body count 80s slasher franchises, because Halloween obviously kicked it off, but Friday's the one that made a lot of money, being kind of lowbrow horror for most people.
Yeah, it's not like there isn't good things about it. Like,
no,
we both have certain characters that we both are fond of. Like, we're both fond of the character Bill a lot.
Yeah, I love Bill. I think he's actually the last time I saw the movie, I didn't like Bill didn't stick out in my mind, but this time watching, I'm like, nah, Bill's like a good guy.
I don't think any of the characters stick out in your mind besides Alice.
Kevin Bacon, just because you know Kevin Bacon.
That's the thing.
Jack.
If it wasn't Kevin Bacon, if that was a different actor, you wouldn't care. If they gave the exact same performance, you wouldn't care.
It's funny because we both talked about it and said we didn't even know up until now his name.
Yeah, I didn't realize until this watch, oh, his name's Jack. I never fucking remembered that.
Yeah.
I probably won't remember in 6 months.
No, probably not. It's such a generic name.
Yeah.
But how do you like Alice as a final girl? Because I think she's just kind
good.
of okay. She's just kind of okay.
Well, so all the cast, there's Crazy Ralph, there's Alice,
Very iconic.
there's Brenda, there's
Marcy,
Bill, Marcy, Jack, which is Kevin Bacon,
Christy,
Christy, yep,
and then Pamela. And the dumbass cop on the motorbike, which is pretty
and
funny.
Ned.
Oh. Might as well talk about it now. Ned's easily my least favorite character.
Least favorite?
He's easily my least favorite.
He's the worst character, but he's not my least favorite.
Who's your least favorite?
I don't
Christy?
like Christy.
Okay.
He's definitely older than everyone. I don't like the fact that you can
he's
tell
creepy.
he would prey on Alice.
He definitely wanted to.
Yeah. I
Creepy.
don't like him.
Yeah. Some people are like, is there actually like was there a relationship between them beforehand?
The actress who plays Alice says that she
Says there
thinks there
was.
was.
Yeah. So it's like, that's kind of creepy. That it seems like maybe this guy took advantage of this younger girl.
Yeah.
And it's crazy because it leads into my favorite character, Bill, who Bill's trying to, like he seems like a really nice guy. They seem to be interested in each other. If it was supposed to be a triangle, they didn't do a very good job of making it one, but he slides in and says like, hey, like I'm a good guy, you should hang out with me, and then he gets a bunch of arrows through his body, so it doesn't really work out for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really did not like Ned. This watch especially illuminated to me how much I did not like Ned, because I remember last time watching, I was like, he's whatever, he's fine, but this time he is just so irritating. And especially like the whole faking drowning thing, like, bro, that's really fucking gross. I'm not usually one to get all up in arms about stuff like that, but like watching it just felt nasty to me. And the fucking Native American dance thing, just like, oh my god, you gotta be fucking kidding me. That does lead to kind of a funny thing because it leads into that dumbass motorcycle cop who makes me laugh. But Ned in that scene is just like, oh my god, can we not please? Like, it tells you, yeah, this is definitely 1980. This is definitely not. Hopefully you wouldn't get that today. That was gross. It's pretty gross.
Yeah, some of his jokes are decent, funny, but most of them not so well. They definitely don't age well.
Yeah, like the one in the car when they're on their way, Marcy and Jack are in the car with him, and she asks him, is the only thing you think about is having sex? And he's like, no. I think about more things than that. I definitely think about just kissing girls. Like that's kind of funny. That was kind of funny.
This recent watch, too, I thought Marcy was better than I remembered.
I like Marcy a lot.
Brenda was just as unamusing as I remembered.
She's just there.
Mm-hmm.
Marcy, I've always liked Marcy.
Yeah.
Especially like the scene where she's in the bathroom. I thought that maybe they were trying to do something with Marcy where she was like looking in the mirror and she says that whole thing about, she's like, you'll always be ugly or whatever. And I'm like, she has this like solemn look after she says that line. I'm like, does she think she's not pretty or something? Like, is there some kind of a self-esteem thing that they're teasing out there? But nothing happens with it because she dies literally 2 minutes later, so it doesn't matter.
I would
so
almost assume that it was like ad-libbed by the actress. But
maybe. It's like if she just said the line, it'd be like, oh, she was just filling time, which by the way, it's the worst problem with this movie. But with like, oh, she's just filling time until she has to go for the kill or whatever. What's your what is your worst thing about the movie, the shit stain in the film?
Well, first, before I want to get into shit stains, I want to say one thing. The best character, easily hands down, is Pamela. Betsy Palmer does a fantastic job as Pamela. She's not on screen for very long. She's clearly the best actress out of everyone here, and she says, like, I watched a video of her talking about, like, when I got the script for this, I thought, what a piece of shit, and I just don't want to do it. She's like, whatever, I'll get paid for like fucking being here for 5 minutes.
Yeah, because she needed her car fixed.
Yep. She goes, she sees that Jason's cast is like a fucking mongoloid. She never knew that was going to be in the film until Savini showed her the makeup. And then she goes, well, if he's so fucked up, no wonder she's so crazy. Like, she clearly had to be waiting on him day and night because he can't do anything for himself. So if she loses that, of course she's gonna snap. So you see how much of a professional she is. Even a product she didn't want to do, she still put her all into it. She's amazing when she's on screen for every second of it. And
yeah, her performance is great. It's kind of funny when she tells the story about how she when she starts hitting Alice, she actually smacked her.
Yeah.
And she didn't understand that because on stage you actually hit people when you're smacking people.
Yeah.
She didn't understand that you're supposed to miss and they're supposed to edit around it so that it looks like you hit her. So Adrienne King was crying. She's like, "Oh my god, she hit me." She's like, I was just expecting Betsy Palmer to be like, "Whiny bitch."
Yeah.
She's like, "I got smacked so many times on stage. Come on, man, grow up." But yeah,
I genuinely think all the actors and actresses do a decent job. It's just everything just feels so uneventful and so boring. A lot of people describe it as like, oh, you know, it takes so long to get to the first kill. It's really not that. It's just there's so much time between where nothing happens.
That's my thing. It's like the kills happen within the first like 15 minutes of the movie. I mean, there's a kill literally in the opening scene, but that aside, like, it's not a matter of like getting to the killing that's the problem. It's like after that first kill, it feels like it's a long time before we start killing people. Yeah, like, that feels really weird to say, but you know, as a slasher fan, it's like you have to pace these things out well. And the problem is that you can have kills spaced out well, like spaced out the space that they are, but if there's nothing happening in between, that's interesting. And that's the problem. Is I think this movie had about 5 pages of writing, and then the rest of it, the actors were just like, we have to think of something to do because this movie has to make it to feature length. That's the problem with the movie. Is it feels like a lot of stuff just fills time. Like you pointed out to me yesterday, yeah, you know, there's a scene where like Alice is like, you know, making coffee, and it's just like there's nothing happening. It's just her making coffee for like 2-3 minutes.
Yeah, and there's no fucking tension for it.
Same thing with she repeatedly stokes the fire, which I think is really funny considering it's supposed to be a hot summertime and she's making a fire, because they filmed it in like November. But they said it was really cold. But yeah, like I was watching that scene, I'm just like, it's just her putting one log, another log, twisted, like poking the fire. It's just like this, nothing's happening in the scene. Like nothing's happening. It's just like a person doing something. So it just feels like they just like, we only have about an hour worth of footage. We have to make up the other 30. So it just feels like they waste a lot of time.
Yeah, and there's no tenseness to it. If you had that time to build the characters or make them more likable, it's fine. There's a lot of time in the second movie where they take that time to really build on some of these characters so you like them more.
Yeah.
But the first one doesn't really do that. Like we like Bill, but he just seems so genuine with the way the actor portrays him.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a great performance.
Yeah, I don't think it comes down to the writing being like that. It just, he seems like a genuinely nice guy. Like when he smiles,
he's got really good
he means it.
chemistry with. He's got really good chemistry with Alice.
Yeah, he does.
With Adrienne King.
And now that'll lead us to the shit stains because.
But also another shit. I'll say the shit stains. Well, we kind of just talked about one of them. The whole filling time and stuff. That's one big shit stain.
Yeah.
But another one I'll say is the animal death.
Yeah.
I do not like the whole
killing
the snake thing, and it felt really nasty to watch.
Well, it's also like it adds
also
nothing to
the actor seemed upset. Yeah, it doesn't. It's just a scene that exists. I'll say this: it does kind of give a little bit of more like moments to see like Alice and Bill have like a connection.
Yeah,
he's the first person who runs in, and I like the way that Crosby plays that scene. I should say it's Bing Crosby's son, so that's pretty fucking sick. Yeah, the way he comes in and delivers his lines, like he does a really good job, feeling like a real person. But it's almost to a fault, because at the end when he kills the snake and he's got the machete up on his shoulder, he looks actually upset that he had to do that.
Yeah.
And I wonder if Crosby was because they don't show his face, so you don't know if it's actually Crosby killing the snake.
Yeah.
But I'm assuming it was, and if it was, I feel like Crosby was really mad, like really upset that he had to do that. And I don't blame him. I wouldn't want to fucking do that either. It's fucked up. I thought I heard a story too that the wrangler for the snake was on set and had have to watch
I don't
the
know.
snake that person worked with get killed. Just that, if that's true, that's fucked. So
when I think of some of the biggest problems with the film, I always try to think of like, well, placement between scenes is really important and how they segue together. And that shit does not work well at all in this film. There's one scene where Christy says to Alice, hey, go get Bill. And then she walks off, goes across the camera and walks off screen. And then the next scene immediately is all of them together. Like, why even have her say, why even be like, oh, go get Bill, if you're just going to lead to a scene where she's with Bill and everyone in this one scene?
yeah.
It doesn't make sense for a transition.
Also, in one of those scenes when Alice meets everybody in the car, like they all meet to pull a stunt on, Alice runs over, and the scene's supposed to end. They're like, hey, you need to go find this person, or you need to go do this thing, or go get settled in, or whatever. She's like, she herself is like, she's supposed to show them to where they're supposed to go, and because it seems like she wasn't given direction for the scene, because even on her face, the audio drops out, you can't hear her talk, but it sounds like she's saying, which way am I going off screen, to everybody else. Like, she doesn't know where she's going, and it's like, for her, that's bad because it doesn't seem like she was directed. For the character, that's bad because she's supposed to know where everything's supposed to be going because she works here. So it looks really bad every possible way. It really stuck out to me. It's not like it's a big deal. It's not like it's a huge thing, but that one thing really stuck out in my head.
It's just a lot of the problems are just things that you'd think filmmakers would understand by now. So it just makes things very lacking, boring, and just disjointed.
Yeah.
Like, these are actual fundamentals for film that you'd think would have been done properly. So when it doesn't happen, it draws you out of it. It's like, oh, these things you guys are mentioning, it's not a big deal. It's not, but like, it made me feel like instead of I'm investing into this experience, I'm just watching somebody fuck up in a movie, and I don't want to feel like that most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, like a simple edit could have honestly got them out of that.
Yeah, 100%. Because things drag way too long, too, in scenes.
Yeah, this movie is not very well edited because there's a lot of scenes where it feels like they hold on to shots for way longer than they should be. The pacing for this movie is quite languid. Like, especially because they're like, I watched this and then I watched 2 directly after it, and 2's pace is completely fucking different.
2 is 8 minutes less.
Yeah, it feels like, because I think it's edited by the same person. I think it's edited by Cunningham's wife, both of them.
Well, it's funny because it's 8 minutes less, and they had to cut a few things, and you'll see it because, like, did you watch the deleted scenes for the movie for 2?
I didn't watch the deleted scenes. I watched the they were talking about like talking to Peter Bracke, the author of the book
Inside
on Friday the 13th.
Yeah. But yeah. I watched the deleted scenes because I never saw them before, and I'll talk about that in the episode. But most of it is just extended scenes, more so than deleted. Yeah. And they did a better job by cutting it. It's not necessary.
Yeah.
So realistically, they probably would have had only, like, with those scenes added, 130. I mean, an hour 31 minutes. Not much, but cutting a lot of that just helped the film a whole lot more. And in this one, everything feels like padding, and you don't want to feel like you're getting padding in a film, and it just takes you right the hell out of it. It's not a slow burn. It's not build up. It's just nothing.
It's just slow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it feels like they. I don't know if this was her first film editing or whatever, or if whoever edited it, because I'm not positive that it was her.
Yeah.
But whoever edited it, I don't know if it was their first edit job, but it just seemed like they held on to certain things a lot longer than they really should have been, and it really does break up the pacing more than you'd think.
Even Savini's makeup, like, they got Tom Savini on it and they make a big deal about, in the first film it's Tom Savini. You don't see a whole lot of his makeup a lot of the time, and a lot of the deaths happen off screen.
Yeah.
Well, I guess a lot is a general thing to say. But a decent amount of deaths happen off screen.
Yeah, I mean,
like Bill a lot. He dies off screen.
The only kills you see on screen where they really do show Savini's effects happen on screen is Kevin Bacon, Marcy, and what's her name?
Brenda?
The cook that dies at the very beginning. You don't even see her kill.
Oh yeah.
And obviously Pamela at the end. But so this is kind of the advent of higher resolution imaging, but the more and more we get higher quality visual, higher quality like releases of these movies, the more the makeup can suffer, because more so than any time I've ever seen these movies. Before we got this Blu-ray set, I think I had only ever really seen Friday the 13th on a DVD. And for Pam's death, when she gets her head cut off, you can clearly see the toothpicks that held the head on sticking out. You can tell on some of them that the makeup that they applied doesn't match up with their skin tone a lot more now.
I will say the Kevin Bacon death looks better than it did on the Blu-ray. I've seen the Blu-ray release of it.
Looks pretty good.
The Blu-ray coloring makes his skin look very off.
I do have the Blu-ray.
You have it, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. I do have the other Blu-ray set. I forgot.
Yeah.
Totally forgot.
But
I don't think I ever actually watched anything on it though, because I think I got that Blu-ray set and they announced the Scream Factory one. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm not gonna bother, dude. But yeah,
the skin tone is off, so
it
looks like a shitty body double.
Yeah. Same thing with the cook at the beginning. I mean, hers is still, I think, in my opinion, still very noticeable that the skin tone doesn't match up. But the actual effect itself looks really good. That's the thing. Like the effects themselves look good. It's some of the more finer details, and that's kind of it's not Savini's fault. That is just the advent of higher quality imaging. It's going to happen to most movies. It's going to happen to all of them because that's just how it is. You see more detail, you're going to see more issues.
Well, the problem is this film lingers on the effects. Yes. Versus some of the other ones, like they'll happen and you get a quick jolt of it and they take it away, which especially those
Pamela's death. Yeah, especially Pamela's death. They hold on her too long.
I really don't like, because the second film does a lot of similar. Like the second film is mimicking the first one a lot.
But it definitely doesn't. Like it's actually funny because I was watching the Blu-ray, the special features for it. The MPAA eviscerated that movie because there was a lot more effects that they didn't show. So even like the shots that you see of that aren't even close to what they had.
You should see the special features for the
Do they have the effects? I didn't see it. Yeah,
all the effects are the same effects. They're just elongated.
Longer. Yeah. I think
there's
it looks better
only one
in film.
that I really think looks a lot better, but the rest look bad. Like we'll get over in the second part, obviously.
Yeah.
But it suffered from a lot of the same problems that this film suffered from. Honestly, it's kind of better the MPAA wanted them to cut it because it makes the film better. More bearable.
It makes it much better.
And you would have seen, like, it would have made the film age worse. So yeah. I'm glad it did cut some of those scenes. There's only one that I would have liked in there, but it is what it is.
The effects of the show are great. We'll get to that, but
the problem with it being a mimic film, though, is that, like, Pamela's death is so elongated with the slow motion, and, like,
yes. And you can see Savini's hands come up. You see his hairy ass knuckles in the camera.
And then that happens in the second movie. The whole fake out is so great in the first movie, but the fake out happens again in the second movie. That's the problem with this first film having that iconic ending. The ending of the first film is really good. When Pamela's ever on screen, she's fantastic. The fight is drawn out, but when you see her, she's great in it.
Yeah, the finale is very repetitive.
Very.
It is, hey, I knock out Pamela, I run to another place. Pamela finds me, I knock her out again, I run to another place.
There is one scene I really like, though, as far as, like, the way it's shot, is when she locks the door.
Yeah.
And she has her head behind it like that, and you see the door slowly opening.
Start turning.
Yeah. I think that's a really nice shot. That's the best shot probably in the movie.
I was, however, finding myself questioning why there was an interior lock on a pantry.
Yeah, I can't tell you that. Especially for a fucking summer camp. That's a terrible idea. I know you know, fucking some 6-year-old's gonna lock himself in there.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck was going on with that, but whatever. I never went to summer camp, so I don't know. Yeah. But basically repetitive ending, and some of the effects, especially the beheading, to me has not aged very well. And even taking the effect itself out of the equation, they hold on it so long, and like, hey, it's Savini. So, you know, he's gonna want his work to be shown, but I feel like they really hold on to that for a little bit too long.
I agree.
The final effect though with Jason, I think looks pretty good.
Yeah, I mean,
the suit looks really good.
I think we've covered all the shit in the movie of why we don't like it. I think the ending of the film is great. The ending of the film is awesome. It's perfectly done.
The music's great.
Music is great. Ultimately, the reason we didn't choose this film is just that it's not as good as the others.
Yeah, it's
not as much to keep you coming back. There's not a fun factor. There's not as enjoyable chase sequences. The music in this film isn't as good as the rest of the franchise. In the rest of the franchise, they changed the track, like the classic one, because this one has a little bit more like, I think it's like trumpet in it, where it comes in randomly, and they got rid of that because it doesn't work nearly as well.
Yeah.
But it's iconic. Everything in this film is iconic, for better or for worse, because that would happen in the second film. A lot of it would drag over.
Yeah.
But it's not that much fun to talk about. There's not much you can really talk about besides saying, this is good, this is bad, that's it. You can't really continue that conversation, and that's why you and I both were like not over the moon about it.
Yeah, it's like we know that for 2, when we get to it, we're going to discuss, you know, characters, and we're going to talk about kills, and we're going to talk about like relationships between people, the way it looks, all that stuff. There's more to talk about in 2. The problem with 1 is, like, again, we talked about, like, nothing happens for most of the movie because they don't have enough story going on, and it's a first attempt, and they didn't know what to do, and they had kills, and that's what they had. And yeah, for 1980, that worked for them. It made a shit ton of money, and we have a franchise for it, and that's why I appreciate it still. It's the only reason I appreciate it still, is because we have the Friday the 13th franchise because of it. But I would argue that the reason why we really have a franchise is because of part 2.
Yeah.
So.
I would say there's a lot of things I really respect about the first one. I think for the first film, it sets up a good backstory. It has great lore to get into.
Yeah.
It's easy to build on. And
solid villain.
Solid. Very solid.
Very solid villain.
And I like aspects of it. It's just a very incomplete film, and I feel very incomplete when I watch it.
I also have to appreciate, again, like this and Halloween, you know, stuff like this, these low budget independent movies. I gotta appreciate that someone was able to go out there, finance a low budget film, and make it big on it. That's something you always gotta appreciate, because that's because of talent. There is talent here. It's just misguided.
It's nice when it's a couple of local boys from Connecticut too.
Yeah, it's not, but they're down in Jersey, and then and for the sequel they came back to Connecticut.
It says New Jersey on the truck too that Annie's riding in.
On the cemetery behind her, it also says Hope, New Jersey.
Yeah, so. It's very clearly Jersey in this one, but Connecticut's very clearly the second one.
Yes, very.
But a lot of people involved
exactly
in this first film were from Connecticut, though.
Yeah, we know the second one's from Connecticut because we know where they filmed it.
Yeah.
So, even we can't visit those places anymore because they burnt down the fire.
Stop me, I dare you. But I enjoy it for aspects of it. If I had to give a rating, it's the same one you'd probably give it. It's like 6 out of 10.
Yeah, give it 3 stars on Letterboxd. That's pretty much where.
Yeah, it's definitely worth watching and forming your own opinion. But I think you'll be coming back to the sequels way more than this one.
I know a lot of people who really like this movie.
Yeah,
a lot. But
I also know a lot that really don't like it.
Yeah, it just doesn't work for me nearly as much as the rest of them. It's not even just because it doesn't have Jason in it, but it's because, again, it's a first attempt. They were kind of figuring out what they were doing with this franchise, and it kind of shows.
This movie is a cash grab. The sequels are sequel bait. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They fundamentally do different things that try to just continue a franchise. This one was never trying to start a franchise.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a quick cash grab so they could make what they really thought was going to make them their money, which was children's films.
Yes.
They couldn't get financing for them.
So
that's really funny, actually.
Yeah. And those films didn't make them jack shit for money.
Yeah, so we gotta make children's films. That's what makes money. And then they fucking murder a bunch of teenagers in a film, and they're like, "Oh, actually, you know what? Maybe not." It's really funny. We got the exact opposite of what they were going for.
That's pretty much all we can talk about for this film.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much more to it. It's worth a watch, and it's fun in its own right, but it doesn't hold candles with like the sequels.
Nah.
The sequels take what this did, they ramp up the formula, and they jolt it up to like 11, and then you have a lot more fun. You got like a lot more character work too.
Yep. I agree.
So, hear about
3 out of
that
5.
in the next episode when we talk about part 2. Thanks so much. I'll catch you there. Bye-bye.
Bye.